Hey, ladies.
Hey there. Welcome, welcome.
Super
So
excited to be
excited.
joining you guys today.
Yes, indeed. And we're celebrating, of course, World Space Day. And it's going to be out of this world today in our live session with Casey and Lois.
That's awesome.
So we do have some free activities if you go to go.smarttech.com/livestream. So don't forget to visit there. And ladies, I'll let you take it away.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining us today. I don't know about you, Lois, but I love talking about space with my students. That was one of my favorite times. They get excited about it, so you get excited about it, right?
It's true. And now with the revelation that maybe there is life out there, like conversations get even more interesting, right?
That is true. That is true. That's been in the news, right? So we are going to jump in and talk about some fun activities that you can do with Lumio. If you want to join us and see these activities from the student perspective, you can go to hellosmart.com and join us as a guest. My class ID is 11311, and then you'd enter your name and join. You could also scan this QR code as well to jump in and see what you can do with Lumio in regards to space. So I'm pretty excited about one of the main features we're talking about today, Lois. So I'm excited to get to the science behind it all. All right, so let's move along and jump into some of the things that we can do with Lumio. So I don't know if you've heard, I know you and I, Lois, are pretty excited about a new integration we have with one of our other favorite tools, Canva.
Yes. So I actually got to try this out the other day and whew, it was so awesome. Like, Houston, we are solving your problems.
Exactly. I love Canva for so many different reasons, but I love how easy it is to create some really great graphic organizers quickly and easily. So we have built into Lumio, we have some wonderful graphic organizers. We do have a KWL chart just like the one you're seeing here, but I wanted it to have a space thematic feel to it. So I thought, where else should I go but Canva and use our new integration? So I built this really quickly in Canva. And then now in Canva, you have a button that allows you to export anything that you create in Canva into Lumio. So that's what I did to get this great graphic organizer in here for my students to use. And this is available, as Asha was mentioning, we do have this as a free resource for you to access and use with your students later today as well. So what's great is when we pull in content from Canva or other places like PDFs that we might have saved on our computer or Google Slides that we might want to use, we can convert any of those pages into one of three types of activities. I can do this in editing mode, so while I'm building my lesson for my students, or I can do it in real time, which I often like to do because my students were known to want to jump straight into doing before fully listening to instructions. So today I want you to think about things you know, things about you, and things that you wonder about gravity and orbits. We're going to leave the learn section blank because we haven't done any of our lesson yet. So we're just going to focus on things we think we already know and things that we wonder. So what I can do now is I can click on the classroom management button in the top left corner and I can pop that out. And then you will see that I have three options for converting this activity. So I could give each student their own copy. I could put us into group workspaces where I had students working in small teams, or I could even put us into a whole class whiteboard. So for today, I'm going to go ahead and put us into a whole class whiteboard and have us all sharing what we know and wonder in the same space so we can learn from each other too. So as soon as I push that button, what's magical is now I have shared this activity so that all of my students have access to it. So everyone that's in my class, everyone that would join my class soon would be able to start to use the different tools on the left-hand side of their screen to add different content. So you can see right now we have something coming in on something they know. Space is vast, and we know that this is coming in from Lois. So Lois is using her pen tool. I see her using that iPad and her fancy It looks like her fancy pen tool on her iPad to write. But notice too that we also have the ability to add text. So if I wanted to use text instead, I can click on that A, click anywhere on my screen, and that allows me to type something that I know about space as well.
So I'm just going to go ahead and type something in real fast.
And I love too, as she's typing, that we can see who's contributing what content to this shared space. So as a teacher, you can see which of your students are sharing ideas, which of your students maybe aren't sharing ideas as well, which is really nice. So we see
And I
Lois
really love that I can use the text tools here. I like that you can also participate on your phone. My fingers are a little chubby, so I have a little bit of issues with that. So I kind of like having a larger screen to work with. But that's the great thing is, as long as you have access to a web browser, you can participate, right?
Absolutely. Anything with a web browser works with Lumio, which is great. So whether you have students with access to phones, whether you have iPads or Chromebooks or laptops, if it has a web browser, it is good to go with Lumio, which is fantastic. So again, just as a reminder, this was a graphic organizer that I happen to build in Canva. It's something that you could also do in Google Slides. It's something you could do in grab a PDF that already exists if you wanted as well. And any of those can be converted into a particular activity so students can actually annotate and write on it, which is what we're seeing happening in real time right now, which is really nice. And you'll see we can even add images like Lois did here. We see Marit added some information for us too. So it's really nice that we can have content coming in, all different types of content from all different places. And something else that I think is really nice for teachers to recognize is that we can always pause contributions. So if you do need to stop students from editing, you can click that toggle bar at the top right corner. And now you can talk about the content that's here, but students can't continue to annotate, which is a really nice feature. All right, so something else I want to highlight, one of the really powerful pieces that we have inside of Lumio is another partnership. So we talked about how we used Canva to create this and how with Canva we can export straight to Lumio, which is really fantastic. But we also have built into Lumio a great tool, FET Simulations. So if you aren't familiar with FET Simulations, they are a way to bring math and science to life. So you'll notice that on your screen as a student, you can hit start. I can also, as a teacher, hit start. And this allows us to do some different types of activities. I'm just going to click on model for right now. And it can be activities wrapped around science or math, but it really allows a student to work with a concept and play around with it and start to build those questions they might have. So for example, if I just click play right now, I'm going to see the Earth rotating around the sun. The student can kind of see what's happening with the number of days, Earth days that they're counting over in the right side. They can make some observations of how they notice that Earth is moving around the sun as well. They can pause and clear. But on the right side, there's a variety of other things that students can turn on and off to kind of see the differences too. So maybe I want to see what's the difference if I don't have gravity on, like what does that look like? What if I have it on, but I also include the moon and I include showing the gravity force, the velocity and the pathway and a grid to kind of see what that looks like? I can mess around with, as a student, different things that I can start to make various observations. And that always is a great way for students to come up with their own questions and explore some thinking in a different way than if we just tell them what to expect or what's going to happen. Certainly, I could tell students, the Earth rotates around the sun and what that looks like. But it's different when they get to play with the ideas and explore. Lois, have you used these tools with your with students before, with other educators?
I mean, working with other educators, showing them what tools are available, absolutely. And as you were looking at the sun and the earth, I was actually looking at a satellite and the earth. And so I like that even though we're both in the same lesson, we can look at different things and come up with different questions, right? I think the tools that are available through FET for math and science really bring a visual to light, because sometimes these concepts are a little difficult to grasp, right? And I think being able to work with things multimodally makes it a lot easier to understand.
Absolutely. And sometimes just having the resources as a teacher to give your student, to put this type of learning in your students' hands can be challenging. So I'm going to pause for a second and hit edit lesson, because I want to highlight that that's one FET simulation. But when we click on our dashboard so that we can add additional content, you'll notice that we have that FET integration right here. When I click on that, we have 104 different FET sims that you can pull in. So area builder, this is great for students working with that idea of area, which can be really tricky for them. So being able to, for them to experiment and visualize what's happening, I think is great. Being able to work with circuits. So you might not have access to wires and light bulbs and batteries. And so it's great that we could have a circuit construction kit right here within Lumio, where students can explore what it means to put a circuit together, even if they don't physically have access to some of those resources. So I think anytime we can make learning, bring learning to life for students using these types of simulations, it really makes a difference. And I think for me, the most powerful thing is the types of questions that our students start to have when they explore math and science concepts through these simulations. So I really encourage you to explore these both as math and science teachers.
That's true. And another thing that comes to mind when you're talking about having the resources available, sometimes you have the resources available, but maybe the behavior is not where it needs to be for it to be a safe environment in the lab, right? So this is also a really great way to kind of show what you would normally do in a lab in a safe way.
Absolutely. And so I know our time's coming to an end here, but I just wanted to highlight and remind you some of the things that we talked about today. So within Lumio, there's lots of different features and lots of different things that we can do. Sort of the two things that I really wanted to bring to your attention is that ability to pull content from anywhere, whether it's Canva, whether it's Google Slides, PDFs, PowerPoints. You can pull that content in. So those graphic organizers that you might find or use or have already. The fact that we can easily convert those activities into one of three types of activities. So for this one, I would probably make this a group workspace. So I'd have my students work together and explore together using that FET simulation. And then I'd have them synthesize their observations on this page together as a team using that group workspace. So two things just to remember with Lumio is, one, that you can convert any page that you add into Lumio into an individual handout. Every student has their own copy, a group workspace where you put students into teams, or a whole class whiteboard where we're all working together. And that you can also give your students hands-on learning where they can really come up with really powerful questions and observations through those FET simulations. And we have 104 different simulations to explore and utilize with our students. We've had some new ones added recently. So if you haven't been checking in recently, I encourage you to go back and see what else is live. But those FET simulations, I think, are a real game changer for our students.
Absolutely. And there is a space event happening soon, which is an eclipse, right? And
Oh,
so
yes.
I know that there are a lot of resources out there to how to safely view the eclipse and like how often that happens. So those are some really great things that you could have your student scientists explore to find the answers to.
Absolutely. And that KWL chart that we have in here is a resource that you could use to have your students start thinking about what they know and wonder already about the eclipse. And then after they get to watch it, some of us will get to see it and be able to add what they learned as well. So great call out. I'm excited about that too. We have that on our calendar for the week.
Yes.
So thanks for joining us today and learning a little bit more about what Lumio has to offer. I think you'll find the FET simulations, they have math and science concepts covered. They'll be really helpful and also really fun for students, risk-free way for them to explore and learn.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing, Casey.
Well, I look forward to seeing you again in a couple of weeks.
I can't wait. It'll be out of this world.